Alright, so we got a rainy day again. So what I want to do is hopefully make the frame for this ammo can here for the 3025E. So originally I wanted to use this, something about this size. This is what I was mocking it up with, angle iron. Unfortunately, the iron place was not open yesterday. They usually are open up on Saturdays, but because of the Memorial Day weekend, they're closed. So just kind of went through, and this is what Dad had at the house. So we're going to use this angle iron, or at least try it, and we'll see if this works. And then he didn't have any flat stock or anything that I was looking for, so I don't know. We'll see. It might just be the frame. We might try using some of this square tube. And we also got some of this thicker flat stock, and then just a plate. I don't know if this is going to work, but the other thing is too, I'm limited in the way of tools. I don't have a metal chop saw, so I brought up his Milwaukee Sawzall with a metal cutting blade. I also have my grinder with some cutting disc if I need to. So we'll see. And then for welding, because this angle iron is thinner, I plan on using the wire feed here. And this, I'm not real good with that. I don't know why, I'm just not. I prefer doing all my welding with an actual old stick or arc welding. It just seems to work better and better. I've used that a lot more than I've used this. So we'll see. Usually with this I got issues. It doesn't work right, but I do have the little metal gauge, so we'll try using that and setting it up with the right speed and the heat, and we'll see if it works if I get to that point. Obviously for making this frame for this, I'm going to cut some pieces off, and then we'll have to cut some miters in so we get a nice flat bottom, because you can't stack it. And once I get the pieces cut, I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to get the pieces cut here, and then I'll bring it back on. Okay, so I'm setting it up here, and this angle iron I'm using is actually 1/8 inch, so it's pretty thin. What I'm trying to do here is get this corner here nice and lined up, and you can see what I did on this side here. So I took out that material, and then the idea is that when you bring your other angle iron piece in here, you get a nice, nice corner there. Now, obviously, cutting with a Sawzall, I mean, it's close. It's not bad, I guess. We'll see. I'm gonna try it. I got my square here to try to keep this as square as possible, and this, I don't know if this magnet's doing anything, but I noticed it did bring this little corner in. So I'm just going to probably just tack weld it here in a few spots, and then take it off, and then maybe do the other side and make sure everything stayed square, and then I may cut the other piece here. So, and like I said, this is a pretty basic shop tools here. I don't have any fancy welding tools or anything like that. I did at one point work in a shop that had, like, I wouldn't say everything, but it had plasma cutter, we had acetylene torch, we had one of those what are they called, like iron workers or whatever, where you could punch holes and also shear metal. And that thing was awesome, because you could get a lot of stuff done. That sure beats drilling holes when you got a punch like that. So, alright, let me show you what I got set up on the welder here next. Okay, so this gauge here, this little tool that they give you, you can actually just slide the material in here, and it'll tell you the size. So in this case, I slide it, and it's 1/8 inch. So like I said, it's some pretty small stuff. Now, on the inside cover of this welder, because they got this set up for just about anyone to use, so the type of wire type we're using is going to be flux core. So there's no shield gas required, so we don't have gas hooked to this. So the diameter of the wire is 0.30, and then you can see down here on the spool. And then coming across here, it tells you the different gauges, and we get to, it's 1/8 inch, and it says 430. So that's going to be, 4 is going to be the heat setting, which I think is the hottest this thing goes. 30 would be the wire speed, and that's how fast the wire comes out. So come around. Yeah, 4. I don't know. I really think that's going to be too hot. I don't know. I'm willing to bet I'm going to melt right through. I don't know. Like I said, I'm used to stick welding. When I'm stick welding stuff, it's much thicker, so there's a little bit more leeway. So let me get it going here, and I'll see what happens. Okay, so I tacked it, and just looking at it, you can kind of see the opposite end there is opened up a little bit. So I'm making my other piece here for the inside of this frame. You can see that's going to be a trick there to get that crack filled in. I started on the one side going with 4. That seemed too much, so I cranked it down to 3 because I thought it was going to melt through, but then you could tell it just wasn't penetrating there. It was just sitting on top. So, and this is just loosely tacked here. I don't want to like go to town on it till I have the other end. And then I'm going to flip it over, and hopefully I can get some pretty good penetrating welds to hold it together, and then you know, hopefully I can fill that crack in as well. Like I said, I'm not real good with a wire welder, and this stuff is extremely thin. Like, you got to be pretty good to weld on thin stuff without going through it. Thick stuff's no problem. So, alright, let me make my piece up here. Okay, so the first time I had it set up here, I was actually too wide. I was exactly 1 angle iron width here wider than what I needed to be. So I went back and cut it down, and now it is extremely snug. I can get it in there, but it's snug. I don't know, it could be, part of it is for some reason I put a tack weld on the inside, which was not intelligent. I don't know why I did that. Also, when I cut it then, the second time I already had one side welded, so it was really hard to cut. So if you can see this corner here, like I actually filled that in because that angle iron is actually out a little ways. I just got done grinding on this thing. I'm going to see if I can fill that corner in. I don't know if I'm going to get that filled in or not though. And then on the back side, it's what it looks like here. It doesn't look very good. The penetration of the weld doesn't look like it's in. You can see right through. That side over there doesn't look bad. This corner doesn't look too bad. And now this one I gotta fix. This one over here doesn't look bad at all. So it's just at that top there where it wasn't filled in. And here you can see it too, there's a little crack. So I'll probably go over that and try re-welding it again and see if I get it any better. But like I said, this is my first go around at this. I've never made a frame like this before. I'd rather be making out of stuff a little bit thicker. Yeah, I guess that setting is pretty much dead on with the wire welder. That 4 for heat and then the 30, that works out pretty well. I did have a couple instances where the wire got stuck. I think I was too close. Need to back off a little bit. But yeah, the only class I ever had was a agricultural welding class in high school, and that would have been my freshman year. And then just welding on the job type stuff, learning as I go. So I'll see what I can do with this. I don't know how I'm going to get this. I don't think I can get the grinder in there. That's going to be difficult to get off. But I don't know, we'll see. It's pretty snug. I guess it's better that it's snug than if it's too loose, because then it'll rattle around. But alright. Alright, so the more I grind on this and the more I come back and weld, I don't know, I think it's starting to look a little bit better. This is on the bottom. You know, I got a lot of like splatter. I don't know, something must not be set right, or maybe it's cheap wire. But this thing's warm. I'm gonna go back and grind it a little bit more. These here, I want to grind the corners so that they're nice and flat on the outside. The bottom you won't see, I guess. This one here too. I don't know. Like I said, this is the first go around. Maybe I'll just give up on this one and buy some more metal iron here and try it again. I don't know. I feel like I'm close on it though. It's getting there. I don't know. And then on the inside where I had that tack weld, I just took a cold chisel and I tapped it out. So it's still pretty tight. So I don't know. I thought about taking the grinder in and trying to relieve where some of the rounding is. It's a measurement error. I should have probably gone just a little bit bigger, but I don't know. So that's this end here. Alright, well, I'll get back to grinding here and we'll see what I'm going to do with this. Okay, so that frame I kind of put on hold, and this wasn't going to be put together whatever I have left in scrap iron project, but it's turning out to be that way. So I got this square tubing here, and what I'm going to try to do is weld that. And my whole plan was using thicker steel here is that I would do it all with the stick welder or arc welder, but we're going to stick with the wire welder. And I'm just going to keep the bead more on the heavy part of the steel here and hopefully get that to take. Now where this line is where the sleeve comes through, or sheath for the saw, so I may have to just notch a little bit or chisel a little bit on that, but I want to be able to weld on all four sides of this. And then yeah, I don't know, I haven't really figured out the other side yet, but I want to get this on and see if I like it, and if I don't, I can grind it off. I'm an expert grinder at this point, so let me tack this on and see if I like it. Alright, so this is just a crude mock-up here again. I just got everything kind of loosely fit, some tack welds in spots. So, and this is all used angle iron here, used iron I should say, scrap iron. So this came off of some bracket I made for, I don't know, who knows, X320 or X500, I don't even remember. No, actually it could have been before that. Could have been when I had the John Deere 185. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is, the plan is to cut that off with the grinder, kind of like this one. I may just leave a hollow tube there, I'm not sure. I'll probably put a patch over that or something. I don't like the way that looks. Maybe a piece of flat stock or something over the front. So I think it looks okay. There's plenty of clearance with the saw. Obviously you can't open the box with the saw in, but you'd have the saw out if you were pulling logs anyway. So this is what it looks like from the side. You can still get to all the grease fittings if the box is pulled out, which is okay. Get clearance in between. I don't know, I think it looks okay. I switched to arc welding a lot of this now because this heavier stuff here, that just works better with arc welding. I don't think that stick welder will weld anything more than an eighth or whatever that is. So, and even with this here, this doesn't look so hot either. I used the wire welder first, and then I was like, I don't like that, so I went over it with the stick welder. I don't know, I may go through the whole thing and regrind it and then re-weld it because I just don't like the way that looks. So yeah, I don't know, I think this is okay. I think this is gonna work. It's obviously not what I had envisioned. I thought of something a little bit more neat than what this is, but I think it's gonna work. It'll serve its purpose, I guess. And then in a way of it's pretty close. It sticks past the back tire just a little bit. You can see it there. So that's not bad. I mean, it should work just fine. Alright, well, let me get back to grinding here. Alright, so I'm going to set you up here and you can watch me weld this, I don't know. So yeah, it's AC 90 amp. Got 6011 rods that I'm using. And I'm hoping that I can just lay a bead across the top here without the thing warping on me. I tacked it on all sides. Hope it doesn't warp. So, alright, let me set it up and see what happens here. Alright, so I can't get the lighting right. It's not going to work, so I'm just going to give it a go and then I'll show you after I hit it here. Alright, so there's some pretty good amount of time again that lapsed in between. Okay, so I just tack welded the actual frame on. Boy, this thing really looks terrible. I'm gonna be honest, I just don't like the way it looks. And it's like the white on this camera is super high right now. Alright, maybe it's from welding, I don't know. I'll take this out, hopefully without breaking the tacks. Okay. So, and then this is what I welded in the back here. That doesn't look very good either. If I had more practice with it, it'd be better. I know it would. But that's what the back side looks like. So, you know, I just want to get everything in place here too to make sure it's going to work the way I have it. So once I got this set, which I think I'm pretty close, then I can go to town. I could probably weld inside here. I could put another tag in there, and then underneath on both sides, this whole length here I could fill in, I suppose. Wouldn't hurt. So yeah, I guess it's gonna work. Looks all right. I don't know, it doesn't look awesome or anything like that, but oh, and I finally got this off too. I took that off with the grinder. Holy cow, that took a bit. That's some really thick plate. So, all right, I'm gonna take this off again. This will be about the 20th time, but it's better to keep checking it to make sure you got it where you want it. All right, so I hit it with some primer here. I don't know, it doesn't look terrible. In the front here, I ground the welds down. And then on the corners too, and then I reliefed the bottom a little bit too, so that this piece here doesn't have a point. It's rounded off on the bottom. This is what the side looks like. And I don't know, I guess I could have went over it again, but I mean, does it have to be perfect for what it's going to be used for? Probably not. And I don't know, I'm sure it'll end up rusting through anyway. No matter what you do with this, it always seems to rust. So I wiped it down with a prep all, and then hit it with this, whatever primer I had. I was going to paint it black right away, but I don't have any black paint. So, and I thought about too, I don't know, I could put like a flat plate across the front here to hide how I got two different types of anchor points there. I don't know if that really matters though. I could just leave that too, I suppose. But alright, so that's all I'm gonna show you with this one here. I don't know, I'm just dying here. I must have picked up a cold over this week or something. Alright, so there it is.